Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, we talk a lot about information overload, but today we got this really remarkable reflective piece of material, and it asks a question that's much deeper than just how much do we know. It really gets to why are we even learning it in the first place.
Exactly.
Our source material for this deep dive is, well, it's structured like a timeless tale, almost like a fable from an ancient tradition, and it's titled, very pointedly, Knowledge That Seeks Applause. The opening line just sums it all up. Not all learning is meant to enlighten some, is meant to impress.
And that right there is the core tension we're looking at.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our mission today is pretty critical. We're going to go beyond just the story itself and really analyze it, pull out the key insights about, the true purpose of learning. Is it all for show, for that external display? Or is it for something deeper, for real internal transformation?
That tension, that pull between validation and transformation, that's what makes this so valuable, especially for you, the learner. We're diving into that difference between, let's say, surface-level knowledge that's always looking for a pat on the back, and that quiet wisdom that's actually seeking to change you from the inside out.
I love how the setting itself kind of gives you a hint.
Oh, absolutely. The ancient Gurukul, students learning under open skies. That immediately tells you this isn't about, cramming for a test in a lecture hall. It suggests an atmosphere of reflection, of application. If your whole learning environment isn't about rote memorization, then what is it about? It's about building character.
Which sets the stage perfectly for the main conflict, this friction that drives the whole narrative. The story gives us these two students who are just worlds apart in how they approach learning.
Complete opposites.
So first, you have the confident student. And he was, known for his flawless recitation. He has this big, confident voice. And the source is really clear that his goal was totally external. It says, praise followed him wherever he spoke. Well, so his knowledge was, I guess, designed, packaged even, to get a reaction. Applause, attention, whatever. He mastered the presentation of it.
Right, and what's so fascinating is if you analyze why he got that praise, it wasn't necessarily for his depth, was it? It was for his legibility. He was just easy to understand, easy to grade. His performance gave the observers exactly what they wanted instantly. He's like the modern professional who can just perfectly quote the latest business jargon.
Oh, that's a great comparison.
Yeah, or the thought leader on social media who has these, super eloquent summaries of really complex topics. The packaging is perfect. But you have to ask, how much is really inside?
And then the total opposite. You have the quiet student. The story says he's older, quieter, maybe even a little slower to respond. And this is the key phrase. He spoke rarely, but with reflection. So that immediately draws the line in the sand, immediate performance versus careful internal processing.
And that brings up something really important we have to talk about. Are we saying competence is bad?
No, not at all.
Of course not. But when you slow down, when you're quiet, you invite doubt from the outside world because you're not giving that instant feedback. The confident student gets praised because he delivers on demand. But the quiet student shows us that real wisdom, the kind that lasts it. It often grows through humility. And that humility, a lot of the time, it just looks like silence. It looks like careful thought, not a loud, immediate display.
It's that initial glitter, isn't it? The flawless recitation. That's what traps us. We mistake mastering the performance for actual deep understanding. And it takes so much more work, so much more internal effort to process knowledge into wisdom than it does to just memorize it for a presentation.
And if we connect this to you, the learner, it explains why we so often fall for the performer. Display is exciting. It's intoxicating even. It gives us that instant gratification of feeling smart just by listening to them. But humility, that requires patience. Patience from the person learning to sit with not knowing, and patience from everyone else to, wait for an answer that's actually been thought through.
Which is the perfect setup for the story's big turning point, the moment the real test comes. And this is where the difference between the two is just laid bare for everyone to see.
The traveler arrives.
Right, a traveler shows up at the school and asks the question. And the source says, crucially, that this question went beyond books. It was something that needed real-world experience, synthesis, application. You couldn't just quote a verse to answer it. This is where performance hits a wall, the wall of reality.
And what's so interesting is that the confident student, of course, he answers first. He just leaps into that spotlight.
Yeah.
And his answer was, by all accounts, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect structure, perfect content. But then the story gives us that one crucial word to describe it. Empty.
That word empty. It does all the heavy lifting right there. You really have to dig into that. How can a perfect answer be empty?
Well, it's like the difference between memorizing the blueprint for a bridge
Hmm.
and actually understanding the physics, the stress, the materials you need to build it over a real river with a real current. The confident student's answer, it had no context, no messy real-world experience. It had no capacity to actually transform anything. It was just knowledge to prove he had the knowledge. It was designed to mirror the book, not apply the lesson.
And you have to think about that pressure, right? The
Yeah.
pressure to be first with the teacher and everyone watching. It takes a certain kind of ego to need to be the first one with the answer.
A huge contrast to the quiet student. He waited. He spoke last, only after you could see him really thinking it over. And his words, when they finally came, they carried understanding shaped by life. He took the problem, he filtered it through his own experiences, and he came back with something that wasn't about showing off. It was about offering real insight.
And the reaction is just
It's
instant and so powerful. The whole courtyard goes silent, and the teacher smiles. That smile says everything. The approval wasn't for the speed or the perfect words. It confirmed the core takeaway for all of us. Wisdom does not seek applause. It seeks transformation.
Yes.
So the real value of learning, it isn't about getting a little burst of attention in a meeting or online. It's about how that learning actually changes you, your character, your choices, your actions.
It's the difference between collecting information and integrating consciousness. Knowledge that wants applause is all external. It only exists in that space between your mouth and someone else's ear. But wisdom that seeks transformation is internal. It rewires your own operating system. It's what you do when no one is watching.
Okay, let's shift focus a little bit. Let's take that wisdom, from the teacher's smile and break it down. The story gives us 4 pretty explicit lessons, and these aren't just morals. They're like operational principles for you, the learner, especially today in a world that's obsessed with performance.
Do it.
So, lesson 1. This one is maybe the hardest to swallow today. Knowledge meant to impress rarely transforms character.
Okay, but let's challenge that a little. I mean, there's a practical need for performance, isn't there? If you're a surgeon, you need to have a flawless recitation of the procedure. If you're a coder, you have to know the code perfectly.
Mhm.
So is display just inherently bad?
Not bad, no, but maybe insufficient. Insufficient for real growth. If your main reason for learning that stuff is only for external validation, to get the job, sound smart at a party, impress the teacher, then that external focus actually stops the knowledge from sinking in deep. It just stays on the surface like a useful veneer.
That's the key distinction right there. If your focus is on the observer, the change can't happen inside. Real transformation requires a shift in your internal wiring. If you learn something and it hasn't changed how you deal with your team or handle stress or see the world, then you haven't really processed it. You've just learned a script,
Exactly.
which flows perfectly into lesson 2. Wisdom grows through humility and reflection. The quiet student wasn't fast, but that slowness, that was his strength. Humility makes you admit that the knowledge is bigger than your ability to just spit it back out.
And reflection. Reflection is the engine that makes it all work. It's the process that takes that raw data and just lets it steep, lets it get shaped by life. That's what makes the insight last, makes it applicable for that moment when a question beyond books actually shows up. And reflection is active work. It's not just sitting there, it's testing the blueprint against reality in your own mind.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
So on to lesson 3. Silence often carries deeper understanding. This one feels so countercultural now. We live in this economy that demands instant answers. If you're in a virtual meeting and you pause for like 5 seconds, someone else jumps in just to fill the void. Silence feels like weakness.
It's a total misreading of the situation,
Yeah.
a fundamental one. The confident student gave them instant, perfect noise. The quiet student gave them delayed, reflective signal. Being able to just hold that space for reflection, that's a true sign of maturity. It shows you trust your own process more than you fear the clock or what other people are thinking. You're choosing quality over speed.
The truth needs time to breathe. Which brings us to the final one, lesson 4, which really pulls it all together. Learning reveals itself through conduct, not display. This takes us right back to that traveler's question. It wasn't about who had memorized the most. It was about who could actually do something with the knowledge. The confident student had the display, but the quiet student delivered the conduct.
And if you connect that to the big picture, the ultimate proof of your learning isn't what you say in a performance review. It's how you act when a real crisis hits, or you face a complex ethical problem. Conduct is applied wisdom. Display is just performance. One mastered the stage, the other mastered the principle. When the lights go down, what's left? That's your conduct.
That is such a powerful distinction. It really stays with you. We started this deep dive with that question about performative knowledge, and we ended with that image of the teacher's smile, realizing that the only audience that really matters for our learning is our own transforming character. It's a great reminder that the knowledge you have is only as valuable as how it changes the way you live.
Absolutely. The distinction between knowledge and wisdom. It's not about how many facts you have. It's not even about how perfectly you can recite them. It's about the depth of their integration into who you are. The quiet student had knowledge, for sure, but it was the way he held it, with humility, with patience, with reflection, that's what turned it into wisdom.
So we'll leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Think about the knowledge you have right now. What's one piece of flawless recitation? A skill, a theory, a fact you can show off pretty easily that you're maybe using mostly for applause, for that external recognition. What's something you need to deliberately take out of the spotlight, hold in silence, and just work with until it actually shapes your conduct? What is the transformation that your current knowledge is waiting to facilitate inside you? Ponder that until our next deep dive.